Good morning, my name is Sebastian, I'm 22 years old, I'm from Frankfurt, Germany. Today we welcome you here on our European Flight Academy, Lufthansa Aviation Training. We are here at Rostock Lage. In a short time we'll have a briefing of our first flight on the DA42, and we are happy to have you here with us on board.
Warm welcome from me again. My name is Markus, I will be the flight instructor. We will take Sebastian on his first DA42 flight. It's our brand new training aircraft here in Rostock Lage, and we are very proud about it. And I like to invite you to join us and explore the really neat new features that this aircraft has, and we are proud to show this in action. We would like to take this opportunity to show you maybe a more detailed view into the cockpit daily life business, and starting from the very beginning with Sebastian as a student in the future to develop as an airline pilot, and this would be a great opportunity to have a more realistic view in what's happening in the cockpit during the flight training. For today's mission, we are going to have the very first VFR mission in DA42. So this is not only the new aircraft for you, it is loaded with very nice airline cockpit features, and you will have a lot of fun to explore all these. I'm very proud about this. This is a brand new aircraft in our training base here in Rostock Lage, but before we have to go through some weather and NOTAMs check. So again, I'd like to invite our guest to join us in our flight briefing. This is Sebastian's first VFR flight mission here in Rostock Lage, and we check the weather for today. Look right here at a Tuesday morning. We shall have here and there maybe some contact to some clouds. It's probably not going to be perfect blue sky, but the aircraft is well equipped for that. That is the weather situation here. If we go into more detail, right here we have the meta situation in Rostock Lage. Maybe you want to share some information there with us.
So the meter right now says that wind-wise we're in limits. Visibility-wise we are more than 10 kilometers, which is also in limits. We only need for VFR flight 3 kilometers and 1,500 ceiling. So we only have a few at 4,000 and the ceiling at 5,800. So that's all in limits. So I would say we go flying. Okay,
so we have to check the is situation of the field, and to our regulation 1503 that matches, so we have a go decision on that one. For the future, it is probably advisable to have these little printouts for you. So if you take a look at what we're going to do today, that is Lage, the airfield. It's an airfield layout, and we're going to be parked somewhere in this area. That's what we're going to prepare the aircraft. We're expecting runway 27 for today, so we're going to taxi all the way down here to Bravo South, do the engine run up, do a backtrack on the runway, turn around, and then take off runway 27. And this is going to be our VFR departure. This is runway 27 in a right-hand turn to max altitude 1,000 feet to Point November. On the same routing back, coming back from our airwork, going via Point November to the downwind into runway 27. Okay, that's a very basic profile for you today. It is your first mission, but for the future, as you will all know, we're going into more complex missions, and this will all be IFR, so there's a lot of more things for the students to learn. But maybe that's a different story. Okay, are there any more questions for you? Now think about it. You're doing the first touch and goes in a new airplane, and did you have any problems in studying maybe the flight pattern or something?
Yes, my concern or my question is, when we take off here in Lage, we'll fly to November, which is right here at Dummersdorf-Kabelsdorf. We will then report to ATC that we are passing point November, right? And then doing our maneuvers in this area, and then when we are coming back, entering the control zone again, reporting November, right?
Correct. You are leaving and entering their area of responsibility, and Tower of course wants to know who's in the house. Okay, so we say goodbye to them right here and say hello again when we're entering back. Remember, in the pattern, it is something you have to learn by memory or by heart. That is speed values, power values, and be precise, be offensive, be aggressive on the speed control. Even though it is just a propeller airplane, if you would like to talk about it like that, in the future the jet is much more unforgiving. You have to be precise on that, okay? So we are going to expect different flap settings. From all kinds of ranges. Remember the math formula to calculate that, and listen up on the radio to do a correct VREF retarget.
Okay, that would be my second question. When we do our first touch and go here in Lage, let's say we fly the right-hand pattern and we are downwind somewhere midfield. When do we reduce speed, or when do we then say, okay, let's go for flaps approach or gear down? Or?
The flaps approach speed limit is 133. If you cannot remember it, a little hint, it is written right here in the cockpit, flaps approach 133. But of course we know this by memory and by heart, and it is expected from you to know this by heart. The time to slow down is about entering the downwind, be midfield to slow down for a configuration.
Okay, and then we'll just turn right base, tell the tower that we're right base for 27.
With intentions, and be advised, we're going to have a nice traffic information display, especially on the right hand side. And we're very proud about this in European Flight Academy, that we have this traffic information. You will see little targets and other participants in the pattern that also share the pattern with us. You will see them as little points and be called out as a target. It is just a aid to have superior situation awareness when you're in the pattern.
Is it true that because we're just talking about that, it then also calls it out? Like
yes.
Traffic 2 o'clock something?
Yes,
I don't know.
There's a synthetic voice that calls out the traffic, and it is depending on range and depending on the level of sensitivity you have used. That is really state of the art. It is basically TCAS, and we're going to enjoy it.
Very nice. I'm excited.
Yes, this is the cockpit. This is your future office you will have. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers are going to be very excited to see some details of the DA42. In a short version, it is really a airline cockpit. You can see all the glass cockpit details in here, of course now on a photograph, but not in motion. But the airline cockpits are basically designed exactly the same. The only difference is it is reduced in speed down to propeller speed, and therefore we have a very cost-effective airline-alike training device for you. And that is especially to our future customers maybe very interesting, because we have a device that basically puts you in a look and feel of an airliner to a cost of a propeller aircraft. And that is exactly what the market, what you as the future customer want to have. You will see a lot of few modes of the Garmin 1000 NXI, and I promise you probably will not have the full capacity to copy all and cope with all the details. This is not the objective of today's mission. Today's mission is for you to feel a new aircraft, stick and throttle, and to make it touch and go safely on a runway for you, that you have a confident feeling what is going on with the aircraft. Are there any more questions to that?
No, sounds good.
Okay. That is just a short version of our briefing. We are now ready to step out the building. We're ready to fly the new DA42. And why don't you come along and join us on a very exciting first VFR flight of Sebastian. We finally made it out to the aircraft. Sebastian and I are now doing a pre-flight check, and I invite you to join us and take a look at the DA42. Sebastian, this is our aircraft forms. We're checking any previous user, how many flight hours have been done. As you can see, it is the very first page, so it is brand new. So this is really cool. And therefore we have to sign right here, and doing that right now is confirming a pre-flight check OK. And we have 2 passengers on board. We're going from ATNL and the date of today. So this is checked. We have some more documents over here, some licensing issues. Just like a normal car, you will have some papers here, and very important, the fuel card. That is the card that makes this aircraft take off. Okay,
Perfect.
We will now start with the outside check, and you can already check maybe on one of the drain ports and take a little sample that we have confirmed that overnight there is no water sediment in the tanks. And you can hand that to me.
Seems good.
Yes, and this, my friends, is the clear Jet A1. That is the stuff that makes the airplane go around. And this is not Avgas 100 like you would maybe expect. This is a brand new diesel engine, and that is probably the big advantage to our old aircraft. So we are burning Jet A1, or basically diesel, and this is the way it has to look like. So we can now pour this back into the tank. Sebastian, you can do this right here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And close this again right here. So we continue right here. Check the general condition of the propeller, the intakes of the air cooling. Go ahead and squat down, take a look at the underside of the aircraft. Not only look from the top. You don't want to buy it, you just want to fly it. Okay, that is something you should keep in mind. Yes, and we continue here around to the nose section, and this, to our interested viewers and future customers of European Flight Academy, this is the tank that is important. That is the de-icing fluid. This puts the aircraft in the situation to fly under icing conditions, and that is exactly the big difference from our DA42 right now to the former Piper 44. Piper 44 was not able to fly in icing conditions, and therefore many times we had to cancel. Not anymore. Right engine, and again we have to check the drain, please. So if you would please take another sample right down there.
Sure. Seems
yes.
Okay, I guess.
And maybe just another explanation to our young friends. If we would have water right here, water is more dense than fuel. It would be on the lower part, and it would be clearly visible to be not acceptable for flight. Water is not acceptable in the tank, and this is the correct way how to look at it. Okay, so you can pour that
Thank you very
back.
much.
Okay, we continue on the leading edge right here. We have the main tanks already checked. The lights, tie downs are removed. Flight controls, nothing really special. You want to check that just the general condition. Looks very nice. Hey, it's a new airplane. Do you remember from your previous airplanes what this is?
Static port.
Okay, what is it? What do you need it for?
We need it for the altimeter, for example. We need it for our airspeed indicator. We need it for our vertical speed indicator.
Okay.
So for our main instruments on our flight deck, the static port is very important. So we have 2 of them. So on the other side,
exactly. So
we have another one.
A redundancy. So on this side, and it has to be kept clean. They're very fine, small holes. Some dirt can get in, and we have to check that this is clean. Okay, very nice. The antennas over here. Take a look at the stabilator, the trim. And on the other side, it's basically a repetition. So again, an overall view. Here's your second static port you have just mentioned. The antennas, LBA checkers, they want to know what is which antenna. We have a little paper and a little picture inside, and they always like to know, what is this antenna, what is this antenna? And you say, yes, I know, okay, because it is the localizer, VHF, whatever antenna. There are many of them. Not any object for today's first mission, but in the future you should be able to recall those, okay? Right. And we continue here, flight controls. We're going to pull out the aircraft now to the ramp area and fire it up and go fly.
Okay, Sebastian, now we're all strapped into the aircraft. Let's go ahead and do a cockpit items checklist.
Yes, please. So, cockpit checklist, cockpit, pre-flight inspection, completed, parking brake, set, seat belts, fastened, passengers not applicable, auxiliary pumps,
Right here.
off,
Yep, they are off.
perfect, fuel selectors on,
Right here.
on, power levels checked, idle,
Go all the way forward
all the way forward,
and back to idle.
and back to idle.
Yeah.
Checked, alternate air, closed, checked, fuel pumps off, gear selector down, manual gear extension handle pushed, checked, avionics master off,
Yes.
off, electric master off, engine masters off, P2 heat off, and alternate static source checked close. Close is when the switch is
Yes, you have
aligned with a...
you have a filling right there. You can feel it versus to really see it. You really have, this is the correct position.
Okay, so when it's in line with the
With the wings.
dashboard here,
Yeah,
with the wing.
dashboard.
Okay. Alternators on.
Yes, they remain on even
Okay.
if the aircraft is off. Yeah,
Okay. Voltage switches automatic.
they go in auto. Yes.
Checked. Then all light switches off. Checked all off. Emergency switch off and guarded.
You want to make sure that there's a wire protection to it.
Okay. So not to just
Yes.
by pushing or
So
pulling it.
inadvertently somebody hits it, the wire is broken, then somebody has touched it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's another indication for us to see if it's all good, if there's any problem with
Correct.
it or not. Okay. Circuit breakers checked, all in, checked. ELT armed, checked, and flaps up.
Okay.
Cockpit checklist completed.
Very nice.
Before start checklist. Before start, avionics master off, so off. Electric master on, so on. Rudder pedals.
Yes, you have to reach down. We have electric rudder pedal adjustment. Very nice. And you can adjust it now to your convenience.
Right. Oh, that's perfect. So flight controls. So
Yes, we check.
Yeah.
Aileron full left.
Full
Left aileron is up, and on the other side, right aileron is down. Vice versa. Right aileron is up, left aileron is down. And the rest we cannot see. We just check the free travel of the stick.
free motion.
Okay? And the rudder pedal is checked. Flight controls checked.
Flight controls checked. Elevator and rudder trim.
Okay, elevator trim's right here.
And
rudder trim take over the last setting of the previous clue.
Okay. De-icing system, if required.
Okay. Today it is not required, but I'd like to show our interest viewers the de-icing system. We will now have a short spray of de-icing fluid on the front canopy, and you can see that now. And this is the way we check it. With a strong wind, it is not really blowing against the windscreen. I will maybe do it later on one more time when we're in the air. So you see some remains here. This again is the big difference of the DA42 versus the Piper 44 aircraft that is capable to fly in icing conditions. Yes, continue.
Okay. G1000 NXI.
We skip that.
Okay. Not
The same here, yeah.
Okay.
Continue with the gear warning fire detector test.
Gear warning fire detector test.
So we push the fire detect button. This push and hold, yeah. This illuminates the right and left engine fire. It is simulating now a fire. We are checking the circuit, and we have the audio of that, and we're checking this light down here.
okay.
And now we can release.
Okay. And flaps.
Okay, we have indication up, left up, right up. Now select flaps approach.
Flaps approach.
They're electrically powered. We have indication approach, left approach, right approach.
Flaps landing.
Indication landing, left landing, right landing, and back to approach, please.
And flaps back to approach.
Now, Sebastian, take advantage. In this plane, you still see the flaps. In the future planes, you just have an indicator here, and your wings are going to be way back there, and you have to trust the system. That's why we are checking the indication versus the position. Yes, let's continue. Variable elevator stop. We can simulate that. Pull the stick full aft, and now advance the throttles to above 22. And here you will hear the sound that the elevator stop is now limited.
Okay.
And we can go back to idle, and it is now full Fremont.
Okay. So doors are closed and latched.
Yes. Go ahead, get into the habit pattern to check the door handle itself, and Sebastian, look over here, to not have any door light here. I'd like to show you. Now let's say this is not correct, and we would now have a door light.
I see.
Okay, go ahead, check that one, and just see that that is not illuminated.
So here as well, you will double check the indication with the actual.
Correct.
Okay. And start key.
Yes. Schlüssel. Yes, without the key nothing works, but here it is. That is the key to the fun. Let's go to the starting engine list. I'm going to hold this for you, so you have your hands ready to move.
Starting engine list. Starting engine. Power levels. Idle. Idle. Strobe lights. Position lights. On. On. Propeller area. Left side clear. Ahead clear. Right side clear. Left engine master on. So engine master left side on. And annunciator engine page checked.
You want to check the glow on. As I said before, it's a diesel engine. It will pre-glow. Now the glow is off and it's ready to start.
Okay. And start key. Start.
Never trust the park brake. Hand on the throttle and go ahead and start. Now, immediately after engine has started, we want to have a positive oil pressure indication. Idle RPM 710. Okay, let's continue. Annunciator check, yes.
Checked.
Prop. And repeat items for right-hand engine.
Okay. So again, engine master right side on.
And check the glow.
Check glow.
Okay.
Then annunciator engine page check. Glow annunciation off and start key right hand engine. Okay. checked, ILRPM checked, and annunciator engine page checked. Starting engine is completed.
Very nice. Let's continue with the after start.
After start item. Correction. After start checklist. After start. Avionics master on. Fuel selectors. Crossfeed. So we pull those back to one crossfeed. Crossfeed.
All the way, yeah.
And now, I don't know about the sound check, but since Sebastian just had switched on the Avionic Master, we should now have sound for you, for all our viewers. We are starting up at DA42 and we now have full sound coverage. Let's continue here with the fuel selector crossfeed, P2 heat on, and we check the volume a little bit.
Go ahead.
Oh, if you now switch on the P2 heat, I want you to check that the
full stop landing, crew change, and 1 hour later they are flying again.
I want you to cross-check when you switch on the P2 heat that these both ampere meters rise in value. So go ahead and switch it on now, and we have a rise on both, and we will have a stall heat warning after 5 seconds. That's the self-test system, there it is.
Okay, perfect.
And now we can switch it off again, and the ampere meter goes down to normal.
Thank you.
Okay, so the weather radar, that's again another interesting feature I'd like to show you on this right-hand page. We now have a weather radar. And again, this is something you would probably only see in more advanced aircraft. And this is one, so we go with this one into standby on the ground, so not to emit any radar energy to any personnel on the ground. Later on in flight, I will show you how the weather looks like. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, altimeters.
It's an open item. What I will do, I go to 100 feet field elevation point, and I expect a QNH of very close to 1010. That is something we will hear in a few seconds from tower as we taxi. So let's call this a open item.
Altimeters open item. PFD.
Okay, that is none of our subject for today's mission. It is just prepared in the basic mode. Later on in IFR, there's going to be many required there. So let's skip that point, not applicable for today. ComNav GMS as well, transponder. So what is the transponder code for the VFR flight in Germany?
7000.
Let's go ahead and check if that is correct. So
we press on transponder.
And we already see transponder 7000, altitude is received.
Perfect.
And we have a shortcut button there.
For VFR.
And VFR, and we can go back. Instrument floodlights not applicable for today. It would be for night flying a more item to check. Autopilot trim again. You will press the autopilot button, the red one. It's that one. And simultaneously you should now not be able to move the... If you release the red button, the trim wheel will work right here. That is autopilot disconnect. And the circuit breakers one more time, they are all in. And we have the after start checklist complete. Okay. Now, since it's your first mission, I'm going to do the departure briefing. Sebastian, we're going to taxi out from the parking position and left-hand turn to holding point Golf. At holding point Golf, we're going to have a frequency change to Lager Tower. We're already here right now. And taxi to most likely Bravo South for engine run-up, and then do a backtrack for a runway 27 VFR departure to 1000 feet right-hand turn to Point November. That is now a very special thing. If you now follow us along, that is a special language our students are going to learn, and we are using aviation language, so that is probably not so prominent for the outsider, but the insider, Sebastian, he knows exactly what I was talking about. Okay, are you ready to taxi this monster?
Yes.
Okay. Sebastian, we are now ready to taxi, so go ahead and contact Lager Ground for your initial taxi call, and let's get going.
Okay. Lager Apron, Rookie 501, good morning. Rookie 501, LAT parking, request taxi to holding point Golf.
501, you are clear to holding point Golf, and when reaching Golf, switch over to Tower 1 on 8045.
Rookie 501 is clear to Golf, when at Golf, switch to Tower 118.425.
Okay, I go left, right, taxi light,
Taxi light,
parking brake release,
parking brake release.
And this is our off-block time, so go ahead and taxi us to holding point golf, please.
Okay. 983 Tango, hello, so continue behind the following car, parking position is stand 12. This is Marshall, parking 12, Germania 983 Tango.
Check. Check. Check yours.
983 Tango, habt ihr noch ein Remaining für uns? Sprit haben wir 12.300 Kilogramm. 12,3 ist kopiert, vielen Dank.
Passt.
Für die anderen, dann für die Deutschland-Rundreise rein. Genau, die sind nämlich schon da, ich gebe Ihnen gleich noch Bescheid sagen. Dankeschön. Ja, super, danke.
What is the approximately taxi speed, the ramp?
It's, you know, when we're in the construction area, as slow as possible, but other than that, as a normal walking speed, you're doing just fine here, somewhere 8-9 knots of ground speed.
Okay, so that's perfect.
Yes. Now this is holding point golf, and since the Germania is approaching us, we shall be waiting here probably for a few seconds to have the taxiway Zulu cleared. Go ahead and pull a little bit to the right.
Our right side clear?
Yes, and now let's switch to Lager Tower 118425, and the quickest way is just to go mic 1 and observe the 118425 is now active.
I see.
And just wait here for a second for the Germania to clear the taxiway Zulu. To that point, you can take a look at your engines warming up nicely. Everything's okay.
Okay. Face to face.
Yes.
Very nice.
See, Sebastian, that is, this is how it's going to end in a few weeks.
Yeah.
You're sitting in one of those Airbus.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. So go do your call and let's taxi.
Lager Tower, Rookie 501 at Golf, request taxi.
Rookie 501, Lager Tower, runway news 27, QNH 1010, taxi decrease Charlie via Zulu.
Rookie 501, taxi decrease Charlie via Zulu, runway news 27, QNH 1011. Correction 1010.
Correct.
Okay. Now this was our open item, remember? Go ahead and taxi. We're going to set 1010 right here and 1010 right here. That gives us a altitude on the altimeter, and hereby now the open item is closed.
Okay. So we will also announce it like
open
item is now closed. Or
exactly. Open item, altimeter 1010, and it to field elevation.
Perfect.
Now, a little bit for IFR for the future, not today, but for IFR in the future, we will have a maximum altitude difference of 60 feet. Now we are indicating a 100, and the field elevation of Lager is 138, so the difference is within that required 60 feet.
Okay, perfect.
Now you guys from the YouTube channel, you cannot smell this now, we're just taxiing behind a Germania, and this is just the smell of the big wide world, the big smell of freedom. It is Jet A1 burned by Germania Airbus. Can you smell this, Sebastian?
It's very nice.
This is how airplanes should smell.
Burned Jet A1 and
yes.
Rubber.
Yes, exactly.
Right now we just taxied to decrease Charlie, which is straight ahead, 12 o'clock position.
Correct.
Do our engine run-up, do our checks, and perform our emergency briefing. And after that we'll call ready for departure and then taxi track runway 27 since there's construction work ahead.
Yes.
So, okay.
Maybe we can consider to do an engine run-up in Bravo South.
Okay, so we'll just ask them.
Let's go ahead and ask them. Let's maybe to shorten the ground time and say Lager Tower request engine run-up Bravo South.
Lager Tower, Rookie 501, request engine run-up Bravo South.
Rookie 501, Bravo South, not possible, taxi clear of Bravo South. Perform a 180 and perform your engine run-up on Zulu.
Rookie 501, taxi clear of Bravo South and do 180 for the engine run-up on Zulu.
Correct entry for leaving direction, please.
November.
And November 501.
Roger.
I'm just starting to get a feel for the nose wheel steering here.
Oh yes, big change from DA40, remember?
Yeah,
DA40 that was with brakes only to be steered.
Right.
I think that's also a nice advantage here to have a real nose wheel steering here.
To be honest, I think the nice part of doing the flight training at the European Flight Academy, Lufthansa Aviation Training, is that, for example, I think it's not a big gap now from the DA40 to the DA42. It feels like a DA40. The only difference is, of course, it's fast. Of course, you have to be more ahead of the aircraft, and you have two engines.
Oh yes.
And but I think that in general, it's not a huge gap to transfer your knowledge to.
But absolutely, you will from now on every plane you will on is going to be the big new challenge. It's going to be faster and faster. At the end, it's going to be about 4 times the speed of what we're doing.
Okay.
So that is just going to be very exciting. And avionics, however, the Garmin 1000 NXI, as we are have it installed in here, is going to be very close to what you will see in your airliners.
Right now, I'm just gonna speed down a bit
and take the last slot as normal.
The last slot. Oh, right side clear, left side clear.
501 tower.
501, go ahead.
And now we are still in deep freeze Charlie.
501, roger.
Taxi a little too tight for 180 for this aircraft.
We are in deep freeze Charlie and doing the engine run up here. A deep 180 on the taxiway should be possible.
Okay, roger.
Okay, now.
So, parking brake set.
And taxi light off.
That
off. Always goes as a pair.
Okay.
So let's do now a taxi checklist.
Taxi checklist. Taxi brakes. We just checked when we entered taxi. Nose wheel steering checked, and flight instruments. Taxi checklist completed.
Okay, let's do an engine run up.
Engine run up list. Engine run up. Parking brake set. Set. Adjustable backrest upright position.
Yep, it's in the correct position.
Doors, canopies, closed and latched. Selectors. So left one to on, right one to on. Power levels idle, checked. Annunciations, engine page, normal range.
Okay, again, normal range. We have white indications here, and a special thing on the DA42, we want to have 38 degrees Celsius on the gearbox temperature.
Okay.
That is something to be checked. And engine instruments checked, yes, continue.
Motor switches check automatic.
Okay, we will now check that. That means in idle, you're going to go from auto to one position. And the engine is selecting the ECU A or B to be used or not. So go ahead and check it in A or in B.
Okay, so
go.
first A.
Yes, and there's the little shake. So it has switched and go back to auto and go back down to
Bravo.
There's no shake.
Okay.
And you're checking on this shake to see on which ECU it was selected. You have no influence on it. It's all full digital engine control management. But there we know now on the left side, both ECU, both units are working properly. Now you take the right engine and do the same.
So checking ECU alpha.
No change. And
change back to normal.
And Bravo.
And ECU Bravo.
There's your shake. Okay. And back to normal. That was the rotor switches check back to auto. Okay. Now let's go ECU test perform. We did that already in the simulator. So you're going to push and hold the 2 buttons. Never trust the park brake and go on. Again, for your viewers, you're going to see now that the engine is going to go into a self-test cycle. The RPM is increasing, and the propeller blades, the turbocharger is checked. It's all that automatically. We have no influence on it. It's doing this all by itself. And again, ECU A and B is checked. And now the check is finished. You can release this now. ECU test, perform.
And fuel pumps on.
Switch them on.
So, left-hand engine, right-hand engine?
Yes, and we have an engine run-up list complete. Okay, emergency briefing. In event of any malfunction prior rotation, we're going to reject the takeoff, throttles, idle brake supply. In the event of engine failure, after rotation with the gear handle down, we're going to go throttle idle, reland straight ahead, flaps as required. In event of engine failure after rotation with the gear handle, we're going to go to the memory items and go to the PPAA format. So we're looking for power, performance, analyze, and action. This is going to be the memory items. And today, in this clear weather, we're going to take the aircraft to a visual circle and come back to land here in Lager. Questions on the emergencies?
Oh, sounds good. One more question. Whenever something happens or when now something is not normal, then it's your control. So we'll just transfer control, saying you have control and you accept it as control. And
I'd like to oppose to that. You are the future captain. Go ahead and do as you think it is.
Okay.
I'm just going to sit here and watch that we don't do anything stupid. I'm going to be the future captain. So unless I don't say anything, it controls. You are the future captain.
And maybe another point, so just to double check ourselves, if something happens or if we see something which is not right, we'll just call it out to tell our partner here in the cockpit that maybe there's something wrong, or we should double check something, or we should take caution.
Yes, don't leave anything uncertain in the cockpit. If you have a question, put the others' attention to it. We do not have a freeze button like in the simulator.
Right.
So that is an important thing, okay? So we now have to do a line-up check, power check. That is going to be on taking the runway, but that is going to be delayed because we're still doing a long wait for backtrack. And go ahead and tell the tower that we are deep freeze Charlie ready for VFR departure.
Target Tower, Rookie 501, deep freeze Charlie ready for VFR departure.
Rookie 501, line up runway 27, perform a backtrack via Bravo South or Charlie South is up to you.
South.
Rookie 501, we are line up and rate runway 27, backtrack approved, and we'll perform over Bravo South.
Okay.
So parking brake release. Okay. And taxi on. That's a special thing. I come later one more time. Okay. And let's go and taxi.
Taxi. So left side clear, ahead is clear, right side is clear.
Okay, the reason why we're going to enter via Bravo South is because then we don't have to taxi over a cable.
I see, okay.
Okay, one more time. The aircraft is brand new in our inventory. We are not so familiar yet. Today, just as we are talking about it, the inspection to if we are able to taxi over a cable or not resulted in that we shall not taxi over it.
Okay, so in order not to damage the aircraft and the airframe, we'll just play it safe, not risk it.
We will not taxi over the cable.
We just make a right here?
Turn right here. Now the cable, for the interested user, okay, the cable is harassment cable that is installed over the departure end of the runway and is used mainly by the military. Here in Rostock-Lager we are a military airport, and it is the primary use is the Deutsche Luftwaffe with the Eurofighters. And since we have military flying activity, the cable of course is installed. Now when we have flight activity with our DA42s, we probably would be able to taxi over it, but we do not want to risk any damage. It's about a thumb size, thick cable, and ready for any hook engagement, arrestment hook, like you know from maybe from carrier landings from the internet or so. Okay, so we're expecting a left-hand turn at Bravo South for backtrack 27, and now you remember the requirement for our takeoff distance on the runway 27. We want to have 1500 meters in the takeoff direction. Since we have a 2500 meter long runway, we do not have to taxi all the way down.
Okay.
We taxi down to have 1500 meters in the takeoff direction 27.
Okay, which is about...
It's a little bit more than 50%, yeah.
Okay.
Let's go take left here. And we already do have a clearance for backtrack.
Okay.
I know, I listened to it, but I'd rather confirm it one more time and let me go on the radio. Continue.
Okay.
P501 is entering runway 27 for backtrack.
Roger, line at backtrack 27, report ready for departure.
Okay, 501. Back has been approved, runway 27 for and will go.
Okay, now, runway is clear. Road sector, departure is clear. This call is probably not required because we already have received track clearance. I'd rather do it one more time because it has elapsed some time in between. We have control, please.
You have control.
My controls. I'm going to expedite a little bit the backtrack. So you can see that the tower is about mid-field, so that is 4,000 foot in each direction, so a total of 8. 1,500 meters is somewhere like 5,000 feet, so we would need 5,000 remaining in this direction. And that position is right about here. We're going to turn around 180 and do the beep checklist. Have control.
I have control.
And I do the B4 takeoff item. Okay, B4 takeoff. Checklist, B4 takeoff, flaps set for takeoff, P2 heat on, de-icing system is not on, landing light is on, taxi light is now off, B4 takeoff checklist complete. All we now need to do is engine power check upon ready.
501, report ready.
Okay, 501, ready for departure.
Okay, 501, leave control zone via November, wind 250 degrees, 9 knots, gust 19 knots, runway 27 cleared for takeoff, report November.
Okay, 501, runway 27 cleared for takeoff, we'll leave control zone via November, report November.
Okay, so we're going to go start the clock, go hold the brakes, go full power. Now we want to check that we have at least 99% we have, so release the brakes and go. Down station is takeoff power set.
Takeoff power set. So we have clear wind from the left.
Steam checked, a little bit aileron, and 76 rotate. There you go. Hey. Positive rate, brake supply.
Brake supply.
Gear up.
Gear up. Pretty nice.
What do you say?
Really awesome.
400 flaps up, climb power set, so reduced to 92%.
92, so around about here.
And start a right-hand turn.
Right side clear. Climb to 1,000 feet.
Set. Let me check if the cameras are still on. Sebastian on the wingtip, everything looks nice.
Looks good, we're still live.
A salute to the camera.
Radio check.
Okay, 501. We read you loud and clear.
Oh.
Lage Tower, Delta Echo Alpha Kilo X-Ray.
Delta Echo Alpha Kilo X-Ray, Lage Tower.
Delta Echo Alpha Kilo X-Ray, OMF Symphonie, 2 Personen.
Used to 75%.
Verlandung in Rostock, Lage 2 Meilen vor Sierra.
Delta Kilo X-Ray, runway 27, QNH.
Right now we're just flying right off the...
Track, yeah. Okay. To the right side of the railroad track.
QNH 1010, Piste 26, nächste Meldung, Sierra.
Tower Kilo X-Ray. Stand by.
Do the after takeoff items checklist. You just go and look outside for traffic.
time being technical problems using emergency radio.
Oh, okay. Not today. Clear, flaps up. It's off.
November is the little bridge where the rail.
Yes, that is a point just outside the CTR. You see the blue truck just driving over it right now.
Okay.
At that point, we're going to continue on about the same heading and stay at 1,000 to 1,500 feet.
And report November. Okay. Target Tower, Wookie 501, just passing November.
Wookie 501, approach, leave, ciao.
Wookie 501, approved to leave frequency, ciao. We'll just continue
on the heading.
Okay.
Correct.
So right side clear.
Maybe you want to climb a little bit to 1,500, 2,000 feet maybe.
Okay.
Let's check out the weather.
Power setting will stay on 76.
You can go in climb power, which is 92.
Okay, so 92.
And go at Beach, flying the yoke and now flying the stick. What do you like more?
The stick, definitely.
Yeah. A lot of guys like that more, yeah.
Because I think you have a better feel of what the aircraft is doing and what forces are on which controlled surface.
Okay, yep.
So I will bring back the power to 76 again.
Yes, somewhere there. We're going to do a airwork clearing turns for error entry conditions. Slow down maybe a little bit, maybe down to 120 knots or so.
Okay.
1,800 feet, 120 knots. And we're doing left and right clearing turns to check if the airwork area is free of any traffic. And remember, Sebastian, we've been talking about the unusual attitudes, the nose high and the nose low.
Yes.
Since it's the first time, I'd like to demonstrate the first one to you.
Okay. I appreciate that.
And
yes.
You just go and take a look at it, and just go do some clearing turn left and right.
Okay, so left side clear.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Wind 220 degrees, 12 knots. Copy.
And 120 knots.
Somewhere there, yeah, 120, since it's going to change anyhow due to the unusual attitudes.
True.
And maybe one turn to the right, take a closer look at the weather there. Looks good.
So right side clear.
For altitude area cockpit light mixture speed, that's an old saying. We don't have the mixture anymore, of course, but the lights are on and the area in cockpit is secured. So, let me have control, please.
Control.
So, I'm going to now do the first unusual attitude. It's going to be in nose high. I want you to not close your eyes, just go ahead and observe it and fly yourself mentally through it. And remember the recovery procedure, it was pitch, power and 76 bank. Pitch, power, 76 bank. In other words, pitch, reduce the G load, allow the plane to fly with less than 1 G. Power, most likely full, if it's not there already. And once you have reached V rotation speed, in our case 76, then it is safe to apply any aileron input into there. Okay, the first one's coming up, here we go. So, we go pretty much nose high. And the power is idle intentionally, and here recovery. Pitch, power, and at 76, allow the bank to develop. Here is your rollout, okay? That is what we want to see. Now, in future airplanes you will have fly-by-wire. They prevent, depending on their flight laws, any aileron input below 76. No reason for you as learning as a young rookie student pilot to understand the aerodynamics. So please know our minimum aileron input below if you're below 76 on rotations. Okay, Sebastian, everything okay? We're feeling fine? Yes. So here's yours. When I say recover, you're going to go on to the controls, okay? Okay. So here we go. nice. Now look at the pitch. We're almost 60 degrees high. And recover. Pitch. Not so strong. Power. Not so strong pull. And bank. Okay. Maybe a little too strong a push. Okay. My controls. It's not even required. Now take note as you're sitting in your seat. Maybe something like this. Just half a G or so. We don't have a G meter. And we do not want to fly the tie like this. Okay. We're not acrobatic airplane. Maybe you try one more and maybe reduce a little bit on the forward push.
Okay.
And here it is. Here comes your unusual attitude. Nose high, number 2. And recover. Pitch. It's good. Power. Not so. And here is 76. Very nice. Now that is exactly how we're going to do it. Very nice, my controls.
Self-control.
We're going to do this over and over again until you're feeling safe and fit in VFR VMC. Now watch out, in the future we will do this in IMC. Now in IMC that is going to be a real separator, okay? It separates the boys from the men. Because now you only have your artificial cockpit instrumentation. You have no more outside reference. And that really calls for a lot of discipline. Okay, now let's do an ops check. Everything looking fine. Engine circuit breakers. Let's take a look at the engine. Fuel level is fine. Pressure's all looking green. And area orientation, we're still in our airwork area. And we're going to do a nose-low recovery now. Now, nose-low is exactly the opposite. Now, we immediately want to have back input. We want to go throttles to idle. And then have a decent pull to not crash into the ground, of course.
Okay.
Since we're now doing this in a simulation, this is, of course, not to be exciting for you, but in the future it will be, because it will catch you totally by surprise. Okay? Again, I will demonstrate the first one for you.
Yes,
we do not have a control problem anymore, we have an altitude problem. So if you do this quickly, we're going to lose excessive altitude, which is not our intention. So, here's the situation. Sebastian and Markus are flying in the Airbus 320. It's dark, so here goes the plane, goes into an uncommanded bank and dive input. Whoa! Bank! Power! Pitch! Okay? And I promise you, Sebastian, this is how it's going to happen to you, okay? Because you have programmed something wrong in the autopilot and it is not doing what you're supposed to, okay? Hey Sebastian, what do you say? Are you ready for your first nose-low recovery?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so now here it comes. When I say recover, you go on the controls. And recover. Bank. Power. Pitch. Very nice. Very nice. Right. Okay. My controls.
Self-control.
Just now think about it. You were now prepared. Think about it in a total surprise situation. In the middle of the night, morning 4 o'clock, and you're totally exhausted. This is now the situation you will see. It is not time to now pull out a checklist. It is probably something you have to know by memory. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so. Now, down there is Point November. I see the white truck approaching.
Yes.
Okay, so you have control. Let's recover back to Point November.
Control.
I do the checks.
Okay. So 120 knots is fine, and speed correction altitude 1,100.
1,000, and go ahead and inform tower that we're approaching Point November for a few touch and goes.
Target tower Rookie 501 approaching November for some touch and goes.
Rookie 501, Lager Tower, runway 27, QNH 1010, report November.
Rookie 501, we're just passing November.
Rookie 501, Roger, join right traffic circuit, runway 27, report right downwind.
Rookie 501, entry downwind, runway right downwind, runway 27, report downwind.
Cruise checklist, cruise. Cruise power set, rudder trim set, fuel is checked. Box fuel transfer is not applicable. Altimeter 1010 indicating 1300 in the descent down to 1000. Alternate air is not used. Check complete. Approach checklist. VREF, Captain, what are we doing?
I would say we start with flaps up landing first, so VREF will be 92 plus half the wind. So let's say we'll go for 96.
Warnings and light test one more time, please. Test that. Is checked, yes. And consider engine page checked. Select us on fuel pumps, hold checklist. We're going to switch on the fuel pumps. And landing light is still on. Approach checklist complete. So, we're going to flow into our Warnbeek acronym. Remember that one, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and explain our viewers what we're doing with the Warnbeek.
So our Warnbeek is just a mnemonic for us to remember when we go into approach and descent for our destination, that we are structured, that we have all the information ready, that we tuned and all the beacons and all the navigation facility we approach and landing. So the W in the Warnbeek stands for weather.
Okay, so we have checked the weather. The runway in use is 27 and the QNH is 1010.
Right, so we got the weather information, then we go ahead with the A. So A stands for ATC. It's past November. Lager Tower knows we're entering a right down and down.
We have established ATC contact, they know what we're doing, okay?
Okay. Then radio and comm setup, which means we would now tune and identify the frequency for radio communication.
Well, now, today in VFR mission, not so much a player, but later on in IFR there is a lot to do, okay? So you have to plan in for some extra time for that. That is R, yes. The same for N. How about the B? Let's hear it.
Approach briefing. So we approach our, we would brief ourselves on what we are going to do and what we are doing, in order to keep the situational awareness high.
Oh, we are doing a flaps
up,
touch and go onto runway 27. You can turn now to downwind and call your position.
Okay, 501, right downwind, runway 27.
Okay, 501, got you on site, report right base.
Okay, 501, report right base.
I'd like to draw again one more time the attention to this little scope before we continue. We have traffic information right here, and that is the other VFR traffic that has already checked in on the frequency. We can see that right here. That is 00 means it is at the same altitude like we are. It is neither higher or lower. Okay. So we can slow down, speed check, flaps approach. Oh, we're going, no, actually because the flaps are staying up. Beam touchdown, speed check, gear down.
Check, gear down.
Check gear.
And I'm looking for the other VFR traffic. Yep, there it is.
Check gear.
Got it inside?
Yes, okay. And we can call right base for 27 touch and go.
Okay, 501, right base, runway 27, touch and go.
Okay, 501, wind 240 degrees, 12 knots, runway 27, clear touch and go, pattern directions up to you.
Choice.
Okay, 501, runway 27, clear touch and go, north would be great.
Just make a decision.
After touch and go, right pattern approved.
Delta Kilo X-Ray 27 verlassen.
We said 97.
So, 12 knots was the wind. Final checklist, final. Gears down, 3 green. Parking brake released. Intentionally up. Landing light is on, rudder trim is neutral. Final checklist complete. Observe the poppies forwards, that's okay. And we have a touch and go clearance, runway 27, we have 3 green, and here's your 90. Be a little bit more.
Check 250 degrees, 14 knots.
There you go. Now we have coming up to red to white, very nice. Very nice.
Delta Kilo X-Ray, laut und klar.
Are you ready for your first DA42 landing, Sebastian?
We're ready.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, a little bit right rudder.
Okay.
Left aileron.
Yes. Okay, that looks about right. Remember, no flaps, early reduction of a little right rudder, maybe. Yes, look at that. Here's your touchdown. Whoa. Okay. Flaps up.
Flaps up.
And takeoff power set.
Takeoff power set.
And go and see that the wing is needing a little bit of left aileron and 76 rotates.
Rotates.
Very nice. Stuff rate. Brake supply.
Gear up.
Very nice.
Rookie 501, report right base.
Rookie 501, report right base. Right base, runway 27.
Let's go, Wilco. Rookie 501, Wilco. 88-400. Coming up now. Flaps up, climb power set. Right side's clear, we can do a right hand turn. And he wants us on a right base. So go ahead and use the time already here in the turn to crosswind for a after takeoff checklist.
Okay, so...
And remember, the hash marks are not required, so if you couldn't want to read that right here, I hold it for you.
So after takeoff checklist, after takeoff gear, up, flaps, up, alternate air, closed, after takeoff checklist.
There you go, exactly.
So we continue on the right turn.
Correct, and here we're already on downwind. You can reduce your power to maintain about 110, 120, and we need an approach briefing. Slow down a bit. About the wingtip, for you guys, check and reference the wingtip on the runway is a good left-right spacing for you, slowing down 1000 indicated. About 120 max. Flap setting are we doing?
Let's go for flaps approach.
Okay, flaps approach, so looking for 88 plus the wind. Some mid-90s is going to be a good V target. Speed checked. Flaps approach.
Flaps approach.
Do you remember the flap approach speed? If you don't, here it is, 133. The cheat. Okay, beam touchdown.
Okay, so
continue momentarily. We have strong winds here. Just a few seconds. And speed check gear down.
Check gear down.
And let's do a right hand turn with a radio call and intent.
Rookie 501 turning right base, runway 27, touch go, right hand pattern.
Rookie 501, wind 260 degrees, 18 knots, runway 27, clear touch and go, right pattern approved.
Rookie 501, runway 27, clear touch and go, right hand pattern approved.
Okay, 18 knots, that's 9 on top. BREF is 88.
501, revised QNH 1011.
Rookie 501, QNH 1011.
1011. And I do that for you, Captain.
Yeah.
And here's your final items checklist. Final. Gear down, 3 green. Parking brake released. Flaps. Approach. And rudder trim neutral. Final checklist complete. Ooh, you see it's quite busy. And the more we do this advancing in the mission, the more we expect you to do it, okay? And check your V target. Be a little bit nitpicky on that. Don't allow the V target to fluctuate that much. There we go. Last time checked. Down 3 green, runway 27 with touch and go clearance. And again, we probably need for the touchdown a touch of a right rudder maybe, and idle. More right rudder, more right. There you go. Okay. And flaps up and put the wings straight. Set and take off.
Go forward set. Affirmative, that is 92. Or 92 sets.
takeoff, gear up, flaps up, alternate air not used after takeoff checklist. Which items checklist? BREF, Captain, what are we doing?
Let's go for flaps landing for 86.
86 plus some expecting wind we're going to get shortly. Let it roll out here to have a little bit more working time. So we roll out here, make the squares. So VREF is 86 and inner panel engine checked. So we're going to check those and everything's still in the green. Go ahead and turn on to downwind. And maybe want to slow down a little bit more. We just stay out of the gear warning. The sound you just heard for the viewers again, if you want to demonstrate it one more time, Sebastian, that is a gear warning. And that is triggered by a throttle position and the gear not being down and locked. So that is a audio that gives us a warning that the gear is not down. A beam midfield, somewhere about here, speed checked.
110.
Flaps approach.
Flaps approach.
Probably also notice a little of a ballooning effect. A40 is something like a diamond thing, that when you select the flaps that the aircraft is a little bit rising in altitude. Our beam touchdown somewhere around here, and he wanted to have a base call one more time.
Okay, so flaps landing.
Yep. Speed check, flaps landing, yep.
Flaps landing.
And speed check, gear down.
Gear down.
We still have the warning tone. It will now go off when we have 3 green. There it is. Okay, now go ahead and maintain the speed. Somewhere in the mid-90s, the exact value is going to be given shortly with the wind. So we are now calculating 86 plus half the wind speed.
Okay, 501, right base, runway 27.
Touch and go.
Okay, 501, confirm, touch and go.
Okay, 501, affirm, touch and go.
Okay, 501, wind 240 degrees, 18 knots, runway 27, clear, touch and go, right pattern approved.
Okay, 501, runway 27, clear, touch and go, right hand pattern approved.
Final. Checklist, final, gear down, 3 green. Parking brake, check released. Flaps is in landing. Trim neutral, final checklist complete.
Alright, side clear.
Now this is going to be our last touch and go. Thereafter we're going to do a full stop.
Okay.
Very nice, you can now see the 2 red, 2 whites. That is a visual indicator that we are flying precisely on the 3-degree glide slope. It's just a visual aid. The runway is in sight. Before that, flying in IFR, of course we will do that all on the instruments. Okay, last time check, down 3 green, touch and go clearance, runway 27. Very nice altitude control, I like that. Maybe want to be a little bit more picky on the speed control, but it's a little bumpy today. That's fine. And you can probably see how the plane is already not flying straight. It's a little bit yawed into the wind, okay? And this yaw we need to take out so the wheels are straight on touchdown. Okay. And slowly to idle. A little bit more right rudder. More right, more right. There you go. That is straight. Excellent. Very nice. Okay.
Oh, flaps up.
Retrim. Looking good. And takeoff power set. Don't let the bank develop. Yeah. Takeoff power set.
Takeoff power set. Rotate.
Okay, my controls.
Off control.
Okay, positive rate, brake supply, gear up. You can relax a little bit, and maybe if you want to show something, I'm going to give you the aircraft back on downwind.
Okay.
This is going to be our last pattern, and you're going to do your flap selection as well.
Okay, 501, report right base.
Rookie 501, Wilco, and this will be full stop.
Roger.
400 flaps up, climb power set. I'm going going to hand you the checklist.
Thank you.
After takeoff items checklist.
Oh, after takeoff checklist.
Right, so it's clear.
To takeoff. Gear. Up. Flaps. Up. Alternate air. Post. To takeoff checklist completed.
There you go. And approach briefing, Captain. What are we doing?
Approach briefing. So we'll stay here in Praga. Do a full stop this time. Flap setting. I would suggest landing again. Which brings us to a VREF of 86. And since this is a full stop, make it a good landing.
Oh. Always.
As always.
Yes.
And yeah, weather stays the same. We will report right base runway 27 full stop, and then we'll calculate our final V target.
Okay, now we need a approach items checklist.
Approach items, approach checklist. Approach VREF is 86 indicated. Enunciations, engine page.
It's right here.
Checked. Approach checklist completed.
Okay, we are about approaching midfield.
Check gear.
Okay, speed checked. Flaps approach. Beam touchdown. Checked. Flaps landing, gear down.
Rookie 501, right base, runway 27 for full stop.
Rookie 501, wind 250 degrees, 9 knots, gust 2, 3 knots, runway 27, clear to land.
Rookie 501, clear to land, runway 27.
Oh, now we need a final items checklist, please.
Final items, final checklist. So we have gear down, tree green, parking brake, check release, landing, rudder trim slightly to the left, final checklist completed.
Do you remember what the wind was?
18, gusting 23.
9, gust 23.
9, gust 23.
Okay, so we have half the wind, which is, make it 5. Gust factor, what is the gust factor? Gust factor is the difference between the steady wind and the gust. So the difference between 9 and 23 is 14. The sum of that is not to exceed 15. 86 plus 15 is 101. That is a lot of math. Okay, don't get carried away with this math. Your main objective, your main task is to fly the airplane. So here's 101 on V target, Captain, for you.
Okay.
Here is about to red, to white. You have control.
Have control. Thank you.
101 is the V target. 13 green, landing clearance, runway 27. For the other guys, you just look outside. Sebastian, for you guys, take a look at the synthetic vision right here we have. That's really cool. And we have some more features there. You can see the runway actually in there. You can see that Sebastian's keeping the little green aircraft on the runway threshold. That is really some nice features you will have in your future airliners. That is really state-of-the-art glass cockpit technology. And again, a little bit of yaw, maybe a touch of right rudder and left aileron. More right rudder, more aileron. Yes, that is straight. There you go. Very nice, Captain. On the landing times, and we're going to leave at Bravo South.
Okay, Bravo South.
But just expedite a little bit leaving, so we do not block the runway.
Rookie 501, welcome back, vacate runway via Bravo South.
Rookie 501, vacate runway via Bravo South.
Oh, Sebastian, what do you say? First impression?
Pretty amazing.
Yes.
Pretty amazing.
Are you looking forward to continuing flying on this one here? This is
definitely.
This is now the VFR mission, and we're going to some many hours in the simulator, of course, and then later on in the real life. In bad weather, hopefully, because that's going to make you just a better IFR pilot.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to taxi clear of the runway behind the line.
We are...
Okay, 501, perform your engine, your after-flight checks on civil apron, continue taxi.
Okay, 501, do our checks on civil apron and continue taxi.
Go, we'll go.
Okay, 501, correct, contact lage apron 121, 955, ciao.
Lage apron on 121, 955, okay, 501.
Let's go ahead, Mike 2. Okay, so
we're taxiing to the left?
Yes, to the left, and give him a call. We're taxiing back for parking and refueling. Request refueling truck at parking position.
Lage apron, good day, Rookie 501, taxiing Zulu back to apron, request taxi and refueling at apron.
Okay, 501, welcome back. Taxi to parking position is approved and we will arrange.
Okay, 501, taxi to parking position is approved and thank you.
Okay, you continue taxiing, I doing the checklist. Normally we would now do this, of course, in a single pilot principle. We would then want you to come to a full stop, parking brake set, and do the items and checklist at 0 ground speed. But now Tower requested us to continue moving for traffic reasons.
Germania 984 Tango, report ready to copy clearance.
Germania. Okay, so I'm doing items for you, and you just continue.
Okay, we'll just go straight via Golf back to LAT parking and...
Correct.
And of course, for your AirClips viewer right here, thank you for being with us today.
Oh yeah.
It was a pleasure, as always. And if you're interested in the training, in the flight training at the European Flight Academy Lufthansa Aviation Training, then don't hesitate. Just get in contact with us via mail, via telephone, and try to reach out. And we're definitely here to help and answer your questions. Because many times we hear from a lot of ongoing pilots that like to start the training, but they don't know how to finance it or how to view of control, how to keep up, and how to apply in the selection process. So we're here to help, and if you've got any questions, just write us an email, just get in contact with us, get in touch with us. There are many options. For example, if you want to finance your training, because not everybody or most of us don't have the spare money laying around to pay for the training. There are many methods out there to get an idea or a solution how to pay for the training and how to get things working. So don't hesitate, get in contact, reach out, and we'll try to get the best information to you, forward it to you, and hopefully see you then in the call.
Just can agree. We have many seats available, as you can see, and we're looking forward to salute you here on board. We're going to just finish now and do the after landing checklist. After landing, landing light is off, DI is off, flaps up, all tight air is closed, fuel pumps off, pitot heat off. Weather radar is standby, FLAM is not used. After landing checklist complete. You do the shutdown items checklist, please.
Okay. Engine shutdown checklist, engine shutdown, parking brake, taxi light, off, engage, act, ELT, act.
Germania 984 Tango, military arrestment clear with the offload, 1000 feet before the end and at the end of run.
So auxiliary pumps off.
Up. Yep.
Off. Engine masters off.
Okay.
So left one first.
Yep.
And then right one as well.
Yep.
Right hand master. Electric off.
Stand by. We have to wait for the yellow X's. Okay. Now we can go electric master off.
Okay. Electric master off. And interior, exterior lights. Position light off, strobe light off, start key removed, engine shutdown. Checklist completed.
That's it. Sebastian, welcome in the DA42 world, and that shall conclude our first VFR flight in DA42. Sebastian was the captain. I was just sitting there enjoying it, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you and goodbye.